All right, 3 o'clock chat here. What's up? Number 6 Oregon's going to meet Penn State in Happy Valley Saturday at 4:30 on NBC. In the middle of a whiteout, Nittany Lions remain a 3.5-point favorite. It's a huge weekend in college football Saturday with Bama at Georgia, USC at Illinois, LSU at Ole Miss. Notre Dame plays at Arkansas, a game you can hear right here on 620 Rip City Radio at 9 in the morning. The Commanders play at Atlanta Sunday. Jaden Daniels says he feels good, but his status remains up in the air. The team doctors will make the call on his status. Seahawks will be at the Cardinals tomorrow night on Thursday Night Prime. And right now, Seattle a 1-point favorite. The Seattle Mariners have clinched a playoff spot and now have their sights set on the AL West. They'll host the Rockies. 6:40 first pitch from T-Mobile Park. Luis Castillo gets the call for the M's. Rip City Drive with Chad Doings coming up next. Dave Softy Mahler is going to join the show at 4:20.
Live from the Coors Light Studios, it's time for the Rip City Drive, hosted by the crazy and often irrational Chad Doing.
Seahawks are a distant third.
Coors Light, mountain cold refreshment. Choose chill.
Here's the pitch from Wilson. Breaking ball, little looper into center field. Coming on, it drops in front. Here comes Judge around third. The throw not in time. Jose Caballero with the victory for the New York Yankees as they clinch a playoff spot. They're bombing Cabby up around first base.
I've said this time and time again. I think the world of Mike. Say I wish him well, except it's obvious I don't this weekend in terms of winning the ball game.
Strap in. The Rip City Drive.
Boy, Shaq are going with the smooth Warren G to kick off the show today. What's up, my friends? I'm feeling great today, and I'm pumped for the show. We got a lot of good things to talk about. You can jump on board. Join me right now. I want to hear from you, 503-248-0620. I know a lot of you don't want to call in and talk on the radio. That's fine, I understand, but I would love to hear your voice today because it's going to be a freaking great weekend. My apologies and my heartfelt sincerest apologies to those who do not get to sit down and watch college football all day on Saturday. Tony and Boring reached out yesterday and said he has to go to a wedding. That is criminal. Having a wedding during the fall with college football going, especially in this part of the country, with the Ducks being so good, it's a travesty. No guy should have to be subjected to that nonsense. Ever! It's going to be a great weekend. There's so many big games. And here in just a moment, I'm going to paint a picture of why you need to pay attention to some of these games. There's so many great storylines right now around college football. And I'm all in. Deep in. I love it. So we'll talk about the games. I'm really excited about the show today because coming up at 5:20, Tyson Algier and also Justin Myers, a little I-5 corridor takeover of the Rip City Drive. They're both going to come on at the same time. And we'll talk Ducks and preview Penn State and Oregon. At 4:20, you Duck fans know him, one of your favorites, Dave Softy Mahler is going to join the show. And we'll talk about the M's. We'll talk about Cal Raleigh. Can he win the MVP? What about the analytic nerds that say that he shouldn't win the MVP? And we'll get his take on Ohio State and Washington. And their quarterback, DeMond Williams Jr., has been very impressive, both with his arm and his leg. So we'll talk with Softy coming up at 4:20. Also, what would it mean for Seattle to win a championship? The Mariners, that is. And it's hard to believe, but the Mariners are in a legit spot to do that. And then coming up here in about roughly 15 minutes, Brett Ciancia of Pick Six Previews is going to join the show, and we'll get his take on all the big games coming up this weekend. Now, I've had a few requests for someone to come on and handicap games, so I've reached out to a gentleman that I enjoy his content, and I'm hoping he gets back to me. It is amazing to me how in today's world of just endless technology, how some people are so hard to get a hold of. Now, me, I'm about as easy as it gets. You can text me direct right now, 360-281-5473. But I'm trying to get a hold of this guy, and it's like, dude, what are we doing here? Make it easier. Okay, so that's the plan. Brett Ciancia, Pick Six previews, getting his take on all the big games coming up here in 15 minutes. Dave Softy Mahler from 93.3 FM up in Seattle is at 4:20. And then an I-5 corridor takeover to preview Penn State, Oregon with Justin Myers and Tyson Alger at 5:20. And then tomorrow, my usual Thursday guest, Bino! Brian Noah of Fox Sports Radio is going to join the show. And we'll recap the week that was in the NFL. And we'll talk about the big action, the big news, and the big games coming up this weekend. There are a number of big games. I still can't get over the fact that the Chiefs and the Ravens, two teams that the majority, including myself, thought would be in a prime position to compete for a championship. And now one of those teams after this Sunday will be 1-3. How wild is that? I still can't get over Detroit going into Baltimore on Monday night and just physically dominating both sides of the ball at the line of scrimmage. It was impressive. Dan Campbell, as crazy as he is, I have ultimate respect for him, and his team has taken on full personality. Everyone on the field is Dan Campbell now, and that's the sign of a good coach. All right, this is what we have coming up this weekend, and this is why I feel bad for Tony and Boring, who's going to be at a wedding for crying out loud. I mean, every guy that's at that wedding is going to be miserable. But they can't be miserable. They got to pretend that they're having a good time, and they're not because they wish they were at home in front of the TV watching games. Because this weekend is not any ordinary weekend. And I think what this weekend is, it's like a prove-it Saturday, where the teams that we think might be good, some are going to be good, and then some are going to prove to be a little bit fraudulent. But so many games that we need to watch to find out what they're about. Now, starting Friday night, 4 o'clock on ESPN, top 10 team Florida State's at Virginia. The Seminoles are 3-0 with a win over Alabama. They have bounced back nicely after falling off the face of the earth last year. They look athletic. They look tough on both sides of the ball. And Mike Norvell's doing a heck of a job. They're at Virginia, who's 3-1, has been impressive so far this year. The Seminoles are a 6.5-point favorite. Here's the issue. The Seminoles have been great, but now they have to go on the road, Friday night game, not the best spot, and they've got this Miami game looming. It's kind of a sandwich spot. Can Mike Norvell keep his group focused so they don't stub their toe on a Friday night in Virginia? That's what we're going to find out, and that's why I can't wait to watch that game. And if Florida State can somehow manage to squeeze out with the victory, setting up that undefeated matchup with Miami, it's going to be a great treat. Also, two teams that are right near the top of the Big 12. Number 24, TCU and Arizona State. The Horned Frogs, 3-0, and the Sun Devils are 3-1. This is the first Big 12 game for TCU. And two good young quarterbacks. That's why you need to watch. Josh Hoover and Sam Levitt are two of the best quarterbacks in the country. They can both whip it around the field, and they're both very mobile in using their legs. This is going to be a great game, and both teams doing a decent job defensively as well. So can't wait for that Big 12 matchup on Friday night down at Sun Devil Stadium. Then on Saturday, I think USC is in a very difficult spot. They're ranked 21. They're laying 7 points on the road at number 23, Illinois. The Illini are coming off a beat down at the hands of the Indiana Hoosiers. They got rolled. The Trojans have played very good football. I've been impressed with Lincoln Riley. I didn't know if the Trojans would be good this year or not, but so far they've been great. But the key, as I mentioned yesterday, has been the balance that's back in their offense. They're back to playing Lincoln Riley ball, meaning they set up the run first. They have great balance in the offense, and they've got the play action back, and it's working wonders for Jordan Mailata, their quarterback. The Trojans right now averaging over 7 yards per carry. That's when Lincoln Riley had the most success at Oklahoma. Yes, he had great quarterback play with guys like Baker Mayfield and Kyler Murray or Jalen Hurts, but it was all set up with the run. And now USC is doing that. The question is, can a West Coast team, USC, coming off a big win at home over Michigan State, travel, play an early start, 9 o'clock kick in Illinois, and not stub their toe? We're going to find out on Saturday morning if USC is fraudulent or not. We're also going to find out the same thing about Illinois. Many thought they would be just on the outside of Oregon, Ohio State, and Penn State in the Big Ten. They had won 10 games last year, and they had the majority of their starters returning. But then they got worked by Indiana. Are they going to lie down and die this weekend, or are they going to show up and show a fight? That could be an upset alert. We could have a live dog on hand, so keep an eye on that one, USC and Illinois. Number 22, Notre Dame. How is it the Irish, they're 1-2 and ranked 22nd in the country? You want to explain that to me? Look, I love Touchdown Jesus too, but come on. They're at Arkansas. Arkansas fans are bitter. Their team's 2-2. They might want to fire their coach, and the Irish are looking to get back on track with losses to A&M and Miami. 9 o'clock on ABC. The Irish, a short 4.5-point favorite on the road. Also, what about Washington? They sure have looked good early in the season, and their quarterback, Damon Williams Jr., great with his arm, great with his legs. And they put up a whooping on Washington State last weekend. They get to host number 1 Ohio State. How legit is Washington? We're going to find out. What about Ohio State? They're unbeaten. We know they got talent. They're the defending champs, but they've got a young quarterback in Julian Sand making his first significant road start. They also have really, aside from the win over Texas, which the day it happened, we thought it was great, but now after seeing Texas play and the way Arch Manning has performed, we're like, not sure that was a great win or not. We're going to find out which of these teams is for real. And that could be a classic. And I've been to a couple of big games up there. 97 Nebraska. I was up there for the USC win in like 09 when they beat USC. And I was there in 16 when they beat Stanford. So I've seen some great atmospheres. The atmosphere at Husky Stadium will be off the chain. It's going to be awesome. Right now, Ohio State about an 8.5-point favorite, ranked number 1 in the country. At 12:30 on ABC, a contrast in styles. Number 4, LSU. At number 13, Ole Miss. LSU's defense has been great, but their offense has been hit or miss. Ole Miss, their offense has been pretty good. And I trust Lane Kiffin. That's going to be a great game. Which of these teams will move to 5-0 as they enter into their conference play? Ole Miss 2-0 in conference. LSU 1-0 in conference. We'll find out. Other games to keep an eye on. Number 11, Indiana, coming off the beatdown at the hands of Illinois. On the road at Iowa, laying 7.5 against a great defensive team. Iowa, almost unwatchable on offense, but they did put up some points in that win last week over Rutgers. How's Indiana going to respond with the early success being 4-0 and 1-0 in Big Ten? Tennessee, ranked 15th at 3-1 with the only loss coming to Georgia, but they're at a surprise team, 4-0 Mississippi State. The Vols are laying 7.5, but Mississippi State's got to win over Arizona State. They've been very impressive, and we'll find out where they kind of sit. They were picked near the bottom of the SEC before the year began, but right now playing very good football. Oregon and Penn State, look, both these teams I think are legit. They haven't been tested yet this year and in a big game or if he can find a way to get over. They've had all year to prepare for this one. Going to tighten up again in a big game or if he can find a way to get over. They've had all year to prepare for this one. Can he finally do what he never has done and win a big game? And don't try to sell me on Boise State and SMU in the playoff for crying out loud. And there you have it. Just a good old boys. I'm telling you, this song right here reminds me of Friday nights. Growing up in Oklahoma back in the day, my Nana and Papa lived like a block away. I was over at their house all the time, and Friday night was the best. What that meant for the Chad was I was staying the night. Nana was going to serve up macaroni and cheese and wieners, and then I was going to get popcorn as I sat down to watch The Incredible Hulk and Dukes of Hazzard. And then Saturday morning, I'd wake up and watch cartoons from like 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. That right there was the good old days, and this song reminds me of that. All right, when we come back, we'll take a look at all the big matchups in college football with Brett Ciancia of Pick Six Previews. 503-248-0620 is your telephone number. You can jump on board at YouTube. Just go to youtube.com, pull up our homepage, Rip City Radio 620. Like and subscribe. You can check out the live stream and pull up any of our old shows. Or you can call me, 503-248-0620. You've got the Rip City Drive with Chad doing on your home of the Blazers, 620 Rip City Radio. All right, Rip City Drive, Chad doing, and I've been waiting and waiting to bring this guy on because he's one of my favorites, and this guy is a self-made man, and you've got to check out his website, pick6previews.com. He has put together, once again, his 2025 preview for the entire season, and this guy is absolutely one of the best, and he gets a chance to talk to all of the coaches before the year begins and to put together his Pick 6 Preview magazine, which is fabulous. Check out the website, pick6previews.com. Brett Ciancia is back on the Rip City Drive. Brett, thanks for your time, buddy.
Hey, Chad, thanks for having me on. And you picked a good weekend because I'm calling to cancel your plan Saturday, 2025. You know, it happens once or twice a fall where all the stars align for all the big games, and it looks like this Saturday has it. So can't wait to break it down with you.
Oh, there's so many great games I want to talk to you about. But the first thing that's on my mind is when you take a look at what's happened over the first few weeks in the college football season, what would you say is your biggest surprise so far? There's a lot of options. You know, Clemson getting off to a poor start. Many thought they would be the shoe-in favorite to win the ACC and maybe be the number one seed in the playoff. Mississippi State's a surprise 4-0 team in the SEC. They've got a great home win over Arizona State. And then Texas Tech is winning with defense, which is kind of a new thing. They just won at Utah. What's been the biggest surprise to you thus far?
Yeah, I think you got to go Clemson because this was really a consensus pick. All the magazines, all the analysts, pretty much everybody considered them a playoff favorite. Definitely the ACC favorite, heavy odds to win it. So not just that they're no longer that, but to see them getting blown out by Syracuse, a team that was picked towards the bottom, and a team themselves that was blown out by Tennessee. So Clemson just looking totally dysfunctional at a 1-3, their worst start in 20 years. I think that's got to be the starting point. I would have said Alabama as a surprise, but I think the jury's still out on them. They're going to have a chance to set the record straight Saturday night against Georgia to try and wash away that opening loss to Florida State. But, yeah, Clemson, the biggest surprise in that direction. Maybe Indiana being a surprise about that they're right where they left off last year in terms of blowing teams out. A 63-point bomb on Illinois last week was incredible to watch. Texas Tech, I'm not as surprised, and I think it's been a great start, but I had them second in the Big 12 coming in. I had them 15th in the country in the magazine there. So I was really excited to watch Texas Tech. They put all that oil money together and signed a top class, and it's paying off. So, yeah, it's been a crazy start to the year.
I love it so much. All right, let's start with Friday night. Big game in the Big 12. Arizona State's going to be hosting TCU. Arizona State just came off a road win at Baylor, their first conference game. This will be TCU's first conference game. And a battle of two great young quarterbacks in Sam Leavitt and Josh Hoover. Right now, the Sun Devils are a 2.5-point favorite at Sun Devil Stadium. What's your take on this matchup?
Yeah, well, within this conference, I think Texas Tech is number one, and then these two are my number 2 and number 3 right now. So this might go a long way in determining a spot in Dallas for the conference title game. So far, TCU has looked stronger, undefeated coming in. Their offense has been electric all 3 games. And last week against SMU, Eric McAllister went off for 250 receiving yards, one of the best performances of the whole year. Arizona State, they've not looked like the defending Big 12 champs so far. They lost down there in Starkville. And really against Northern Arizona, their FCS test, they struggled too. Now, big win against Baylor. Both teams in this matchup are coming off big wins. I'm going to go TCU here. I think the wrong team is favored. I'll go TCU. Despite it being on the road, I like them to win it outright. I think TCU is legit, so I'll go with the Horned Frogs.
All right, Brett, on Saturday morning, interesting matchup. You mentioned Indiana. They throttled Illinois, who's going to be hosting USC. They're a 7-point dog. What I like about the Trojans thus far under Lincoln Riley, they're back to playing Lincoln Riley ball that we saw at Oklahoma, where they're really getting off with the run. They're averaging over 7 yards a carry right now. Good balance, good play action opportunities for Jordan Mayava. And Illinois, 10 wins last year. Most of their starters returning off the team from last year, and they're at home coming off that blowout loss. What do you think about the matchup with USC and Illinois?
Yeah, well, Illinois was one of those teams in the preview magazine where I went against the crowd. I really diverged from the consensus. They were coming in a top 10 team. I had them 35th, way outside the top 25. I just didn't see it from Illinois this year. You look at their advanced stats profile, it did not look like a 10-win team. So far, I mean, that's been a little bit vindicated with the Indiana blowout. But yeah, with USC, I really like their offense. It goes without saying it's Lincoln Riley. And like you said, they're balanced. They got the run game going. Great cast of receivers for Jaden Mayava. He's right now the number 1 in quarterback rating stat in the country. So really letting it up. He looks much improved from last year. The true test with USC to see if they're going to be a playoff contender or not is whether this defense has taken a step in the second year of their coordinator, Danton Lynn. We're going to learn a lot Saturday, but especially when they go up against Michigan and Notre Dame in October. So far, so good for USC. A couple tests coming. I think they win and cover that. I think they're going to win by 10+ at Illinois.
Oh, that's terrific. All right, this game here, a big one of the biggest games that Husky Stadium's had in quite some time. Number 1, Ohio State is going to be taking on Washington. Julian Sand, the youngster for the Buckeyes, has looked good in early action play, but the Buckeyes really haven't been tested, and maybe now with what we've seen over the last couple of weeks, maybe that win over Texas wasn't as good as we first thought. Washington coming off the big win over Washington State. I've been very impressed with DeMond Williams Jr., the way that he's been able to, really play with his arm and his legs. Right now, the current line that I'm seeing, Brett, Ohio State, an 8.5-point favorite on the road. What do you think about these two squads?
Yeah, you're right about DeMond Williams. I tweeted out a couple weeks ago. I think he's the best-kept secret in college football.
No doubt.
He's phenomenal. And, I'm on the East Coast, so it's usually 1 a.m. when I get to watch this guy. But I'm up there every second watching it. And, he's fun to watch. Jonah Coleman, a tough runner at running back, and they've really bolstered their offensive line. I know they were thin there in the transition year last year, but much improved under Jed Fish this year. They deserve to be ranked. I think it's crazy they're not even ranked or receiving any votes in the AP. That's wild to me. I think they're definitely a top 25 team. So, you have strength versus strength when you have Washington with the ball going up against this Ohio State defense that might be number 1 in the country in most metrics on defense. So the real question to me is whether Washington's secondary, they have some injuries over there. Can they contain this arsenal of receivers that Ohio State's bringing? Because it's NFLers, all 3 of them, plus Max Clare at tight end. So can't wait to watch this one. And then one last note here, a little nugget, is Ohio State being number 1 in the country against an unranked team, single-digit favorite. That hasn't happened in about 12 years, 2012 USC against Notre Dame. So really rare territory here for a number 1 team to be just a single-digit favorite.
That's impressive. Another big game at 12:30. Number 4, LSU's at number 13, Ole Miss. Ole Miss right now, 1.5-point favorite. Really an interesting game because Ole Miss has been humming pretty well on offense. LSU offense has found a few hiccups early in the season, but their defense has been dominant. I love this game. I can't wait to watch it. What do you think with LSU and Ole Miss? Yeah,
fascinating when Ole Miss has the ball because you have Trinidad Chambliss, a Division II transfer, a quarterback, and he's passed both of his first 2 tests, 400-plus yards both times. His coaches are drawing Baker Mayfield comparisons, and he's got the size, the build, the moxie that you could consider that. And going up against an LSU defense, one of the best in the country, I think. And they paid for it. They made Blake Baker the highest-paid coordinator in college football history last year, and it's paying off here in his second season. So that's going to be fascinating to watch. I think I like Ole Miss at home here to win it, and my numbers say so. I have Ole Miss by a point or 2. Looks like Vegas agrees. And now that we've seen LSU's big wins kind of fade, of course that was Clemson and Florida, both of them sitting 1-3 and looking nowhere near the top 25. I think you have to reevaluate what they've showed us so far. So I'll go Ole Miss here.
All right, Brett Ciancia, Pick 6 previews here on the Rip City Drive. You mentioned Indiana being dominant. They looked great last week against Illinois. 12:30 kick on Peacock. Number 11, Indiana's at Iowa. The Hawkeyes great defensively. They're getting 7.5 points at home. How do you think Indiana will respond on the road coming off that big win over Illinois?
Yeah, well, Indiana really just a complete game, both sides of the ball, all 3 phases really, with that block punt for a touchdown to open the scoring. And their quarterback, Fernando Mendoza, now 14 touchdowns, 0 picks. It's the best in the country. He's rising up the Heisman boards really quickly. And going up against an Iowa team and an Iowa secondary did not look like the usual Iowa Hawkeyes last week. They gave up touchdowns on the first 3 drives against Rutgers over there in Jersey. And this is not a ranked team by any means, the Rutgers. So Rutgers was throwing all over their secondary. That's a big concern for me with Indiana coming to town. So although it's one of the hardest places to play in the Big Ten, and I know Indiana might be coming off a big win, I think they're going to be refocused and go in there and get the W and cover. So I'll go Indiana here. They showed me a lot Saturday against Illinois.
Well, that was a great performance. We talked about how great the games are this Saturday. I think we're going to learn a lot about several football teams. One of those is Arizona. They're 3-0, getting a chance to play their first game in Big 12 action at number 14 Iowa State. Right now, the Cyclones, a 6.5-point favorite. I've been impressed with what the Cats have been able to do thus far. What do you think about this game here with Arizona and Iowa State?
Yeah, I like Arizona to win this one outright. I'll call for the upset.
Wow.
I watched them play Kansas State, and this is a time where the score and the box score is a little misleading. They beat Kansas State by 3. In fact, both teams beat Kansas State close, but Arizona outgained them by like 400 yards. It was very strange box score. They looked like the better team. And, I'm not so sold on Iowa State. I like Rocco Becht. In fact, I love him at quarterback. He's so clutch. He's led so many fourth-quarter wins. But the rest of the team, I have questions. So I'm going to go Arizona. Their passing attack looks awesome. I think they're much improved in year two.
All right, now to the two big games. First off, 4:30 on ABC. Number 17, Alabama playing at number 5, Georgia. Right now, the Bulldogs anywhere between a 3 to a 3.5 point favorite. Bama has to go on the road. They haven't played in Athens since, I think, 2015, Brett. And, Georgia, under Kirby Smart, they basically never lose a home game. So what do you think is going to happen here?
Yeah, you're right. It's the nation's longest active home win streak there, 30-plus games. They haven't lost in forever between the hedges. But with that said, Kirby Smart has an Alabama problem because you look at him since 2020, they're 63-3 against everybody else, 1-4 against Alabama.
Unreal.
So they've had their number, and it's no fault. It's the Saban dynasty. It's the top two recruiters in the country here going at it. So a lot of star power on the field. We're going to learn a lot about both. Georgia came a little bit slow out of the gates with their offense, but then they lit it up against Tennessee in a shootout. Alabama, same deal, slow against Florida State, but their quarterbacks have been perfect since. Ty Simpson went 17 for 17 in the second game. So I like Alabama here. I view it more as a toss-up. So if you're giving me a field goal plus, I'll go Bama. There's some value there. I think they're going to win it outright and end this win streak between the hedges.
Well, I think what everyone in the state of Oregon is going to be doing at 4:30 on Saturday. They'll be tuned into NBC watching number 6 Oregon take on number 3 Penn State. Right now, the Nittany Lions, a 3.5 point favorite. The big knock on Penn State under James Franklin is they don't win the big games, Brett. And for the Ducks this year, the offensive line, the continuity with the new tackles they brought in has been great. They've got the running game pop back in their offense, unlike last year. And it appears that Dante Moore is bringing a little more dynamic play with his ability to stretch the field. This is a great game. I've been impressed with the Ducks thus far. Do you think they've got enough up front defensively to contain that Penn State run game and that offensive line?
Yeah, definitely. I was blown away with the talent acquisition that Dan Lanning continued this cycle. Number one from the transfer portal and number one from the high school ranks. You can do it per player.
That's
not
good.
The overall class, but per player. Yeah, very impressed. So it's young. It's youth. This is the big first test for a lot of them. Dante Moore has some starting experience, but I think this is the toughest venue he'll be playing in. I did a study here with my weekly edition, my Pick 6 Plus, looking at the history of the Penn State whiteout. And, this is dating back to 2002. They host their biggest game of the year. They call it the whiteout. Everyone wears white. It's a night game. They are 14-6 straight up. And that might not sound that impressive, but that's usually against a top 10 team, usually a highly ranked opponent. They're their toughest of the year. And they're on an 8-0 trend against the spread in whiteouts, too. So it is arguably the hardest place to play when they do their whiteout. So with that said, I think Oregon can definitely compete. Their offense has definitely had more success with explosive plays, top 10 in both explosive passing and rushing. Penn State well below average in both. It's like pulling teeth trying to get them to score points while Oregon scores at the blink of an eye. So I think Oregon will definitely compete. I am going Penn State here to win it. Now, if these two rematch in December or January in the playoff, it's probably going to flip over to Oregon once they get 10 more games under their belt. But with this first big road test, I'm going to go Penn State.
All right. Since this is the first time I've talked to you this year, who do you have in the national title game?
Well, right now, you got to look at Ohio State and Miami. Ohio State, just based off their resume win over Texas, that looks like the best win on the docket. Maybe Florida State's win over Bama, you could argue, but it's just so early. We haven't seen a lot of teams play a ranked game yet. So I'll stick with the defending champs, Ohio State. And then Miami has really shown me a lot on both sides of the ball. We had questions with their quarterback transition from Cam Ward to Carson Beck. So far, so good. Great receivers. They have a great offensive line with Mario Cristobal. And then on defense, that was their liability last year, but they pumped that roster with great transfers. And now that defensive line looks like one of the best in the country. So Miami, they're going to be favorites every single game the rest of the way. I've got them going 11-1 or 12-0 at this point, and that would compute definitely a long playoff run.
How great is that Florida State-Miami game going to be coming up on October 4th? I can't wait.
I'm really excited, too. I'm on the younger side, so I never got to experience that at its peak, the 80s and 90s.
It was awesome.
I know, so I feel like I've lost out on part of the college football experience. So looking to get a little slice of that back this year. Hopefully they both come in undefeated. That'll be a heck of a matchup.
All right, Brett Ciancia, Pick 6 previews. Brett, I don't know how many hours of football you watch every week, but it's absurd. You're watching high school. You're paying attention to the college. You're all over this stuff. I know you're busy, so thank you so much for your time. And, hey, enjoy the games this weekend. And we know what guys need to say to their friends who want to invite them to a wedding in the fall. Say, no, I got things to do.
Just say no. Yeah, it's that simple. No, thanks for having me, and good luck, Ducks. Good luck, Oregon and Oregon State this week.
Wow! I can't wait for this weekend. So many good games. It's going to be like a show this weekend. So many good games. It's going to be like a smorgasbord. Like college football. I can't say that word. I don't think I can say bukkake, but that's what it's going to be like, man. It's going to be like it's porn. It's so good. It's like there's too many good games. I am going to try and OD on football this weekend. Like, you can't beat that. Like, I need this in my life. So many great games. I'm all in on college football. Love it. Absolutely love it. I love the pageantry. I love all the different teams. And again, just like what we saw with last year, do you realize how many more teams, fan bases across the country have like hope, excitement because they got a chance to get into the playoff? This is what playoff expansion does for you. It brings greatness into our lives. That's all. It's great. Football's great. It is. Football is fabulous. I mean, there's a reason why we love it. And, you know, the other thing I was thinking about this, too, I'm excited about baseball, too. I can't wait to watch the playoffs with, the Mariners. I can't wait to watch the Dodgers bullpen meltdown. And then, they get bumped out early. Like, we know that's going to happen. But what's so great about football, both college and the NFL, is like every game is such a precious resource. One loss can put you behind the 8 ball. Like I mentioned earlier with the friggin' Chiefs and the Ravens, one of them's going to be 1-3. And they're going to be a quarter of the way into the season. I mean, before you blink of an eye, it's going to be halfway through the college football season. That's what's so great, man. Every game matters. It's you don't have too many, do-overs. It's so good. Now, it's better now because, like this weekend, before, like when I was a kid, Penn State, Oregon, whoever loses the game can pretty much kiss their chances at a national title goodbye. See ya. Why? Because the system was dumb. We had a bunch of dum-dums who were trying to set up college football for us. And I hate every one of them for the stuff that they did to us for years. With the teams being aligned with certain conferences and bowl games, for the fact that they couldn't put 1 and 2 together to play for a national championship. They didn't give us a playoff. They lied so they could line their fat-ass pockets with a bunch of cash. And they did that for years. All in the name of getting fat and rich. Freaks. Like, I want to find every one of those guys and just kick them in the knee. Heck, you can lose 2 games. And if you're Ohio State, you can lose at Oregon. Heck, you can lose 2 games. And if you're Ohio State, you can lose at Oregon and then get beat by a crap Michigan team and still win the national title. This stuff should have been going on years ago. Now, just point back to 91. Undefeated Washington, undefeated Miami, the 2 best teams in the country. But we can't play them in a bowl game because, the precious Rose Bowl and the Big Ten Pac-12 matchup. Screw those people, man. I hate bowl alliances. And so what did that leave us with? Just a bunch of Hurricane and Husky fans arguing about who was the best because they had a split national championship. Georgia Tech and Nebraska did that too the year before. No one wants a split title. Who was the champion that year? Well, it was kind of Nebraska. It was kind of Georgia Tech. What about the next year? Well, half was Washington, half was Miami. No. Can you imagine if they did that in the Super Bowl? Well, we're not going to put the 2 best teams together in the Super Bowl because the AFC's aligned with this game and the NFC's aligned with that game. Do you realize how dumb that is? But that's what you would expect from the NCAA and the morons who were running it way back in the day because there's the same ones that robbed the kids for years saying that, they're getting a scholarship. And then when it finally went to court, they got smashed. And now players are getting big-time scratch. Idiots. Way to evolve with the times. So just be thankful that we got what we got now. For you youngins out there, enjoy college football because it's good right now. All right, we'll keep things rolling. Dave Softy, Mahler, Talking M's coming up at 4:20. Herb Alpert. And I believe the title of the song is Route 101. Alpert. And I believe the title of the song is Route 101. He's going to be in concert coming up in the very near future at the Schnitz. Remember, I looked up his age the other day. He's like 90 years old, and he's going to do a show. There's an early Blazer game that day, but I think I'm going to be able to maneuver my day to where I can get out of there in time and then go check Herb. There's no way I'm going to miss that. So if I'm sick that day, you know why. But no, I think I can get my duties done and get over that show. He's a legend. I just love that. You hear those horns, it's like, I know who that is. It's Herb. That's what greatness is. When people hear my voice, they just associate it with garbage. It's garbage! Like Mike Gundy. Oh, his son pinned a very nice thing on Twitter. I may read that to you. I'm a big fan of Mike Gundy, but I'm excited to see where he lands next. You know, he's going to have an opportunity. And by the way, Zach Bai, who works in Denver, he just posted a little video explaining what went down. He was on the golf course with Philip Lindsay, former Colorado Buff running back that he does a show with there in Denver. And they come up about 10 feet from the green, and there's a giant snake slithering around. And the thing, like, not only did it sit right there in front of the green, but then it slithered over to their golf cart and found a little opening and got up inside the cart and, like, wrapped itself around some of the insides. I'm done, man. I ain't going to get in the golf cart. I don't want to be close to that. Like we talked about the other day, I'm not searching out snakes. Not doing it. It's incredibly scary and creepy. All right, this was pinned on social media. This is from Mike Gundy's son. And I thought it was really nice. You know, we always look at coaches as coaches, but they're dads too. But this is one of his sons' breakdown after his dad was let go from Oklahoma State after 20 years on the gig. Quote, "It's been a long couple of hours since the news that my dad, Mike Gundy, is no longer the head coach at Oklahoma State. Even saying that out loud still doesn't feel real. For my entire life, he's been the face of Cowboy football. The constant presence on the sideline, the voice in the locker room, and the man who turned OSU into a program that was always mattered. Before he ever wore the headset, he was already a Cowboy from 86 to 89. He started 4 straight years at quarterback, winning 28 games and leaving as the Big Eight's all-time leading passer and also in touchdowns. He threw to Hartley Dykes and handed off to Barry Sanders, also Thurman Thomas, and ran an offense people are still talking about decades later. He wasn't just part of OSU history, he made it. As a coach, his resume is unmatched. 170 wins, the most in school history, 12 bowl victories, a Big 12 South title in 2010, and the program's first and only Big 12 championship in 2011. 18 consecutive bowl appearances from 06 to 2023, 8 10-win seasons, 2 12-win seasons, 10 ranked finishes, and 5 top 15 finishes. For 17 straight years, Oklahoma State appeared in the AP Top 25. That kind of consistency doesn't just happen. He was named the Big 12 Coach of the Year 3 times, won both the Eddie Robinson and Paul Bear Bryant National Coach of the Year awards in 2011 and 2021, was inducted into the Oklahoma Sports Hall of Fame. Not bad for a program that people once claimed couldn't sustain greatness. But the legacy goes far beyond numbers. I saw the sacrifices up close, the holidays missed, the family moments that had to wait, the pressure he carried year after year, all because he loved OSU enough to give it everything he had. I saw thousands of players leave his program as better men because he demanded toughness, loyalty, and accountability from them. That impact will outlast the records. As his son, I couldn't be prouder. Dad, thank you for showing me what resilience, loyalty, and commitment really mean. Thank you for being the standard I'll always chase. Oklahoma State may hire another coach, but there will never be another Mike Gundy, the eldest boy." How sweet is that? Very sweet letter from son to father after Mike Gundy was let go by Oklahoma State. And he's still young. He'll coach again. But he's that crazy guy that goes on rattlesnake roundups. Like, who? Like, what has to be loose in your dome And I'm from Oklahoma, so I understand what it might mean to be a little bit mentally challenged. I grew up in the sticks of Oklahoma. What do you expect? But what has to go loose inside of your dome to wake up one day and say, you know what? I'm going to go round me up some rattlesnakes. No thanks. All my dad told us when we were out there playing, like in the country, he's like, be careful where you step. And when you flip rocks over, because he knew we were going to flip rocks over, that's what boys do. He goes, look out. What he meant was, don't put your hands somewhere where it's going to get bit. I don't need that kind of stuff in my life. I don't want to be on a golf course in Arizona and come across a rattlesnake. I don't want to be surprised by a snake. I've heard about stuff in Florida where snakes come up through like the toilet and stuff. Can you imagine, let's say it's late at night and all of a sudden you got to grow a tail. And it's one of those like Code Blue situations where you run in, you know, when you just kind of launch Dumb and Dumber style onto the toilet. Can you imagine like going to like drop down on the porcelain god and you're like, oh, what, a flipping python? Like right there, I'm done. Lord, you can take me now. I've seen it all. I don't need this in my life anymore. I'm done. I'm shutting it down. It just gives me creepers. Rattlesnake roundup. No thanks. I'm out. I've jumped out of an airplane before. Not going to go on a rattlesnake roundup. Even if Mike Gundy asked me to accompany him. No, I'm good, coach. Thanks. You can find a way to develop resilience, toughness, and whatever you got to develop in me outside of going to look for rattlesnakes. All right, we'll keep things rolling. No, you didn't. You heard it. You just want me to play it again because you think it's funny. Missed it. No, you didn't. You heard it. You just want me to play it again because you think it's funny. And you're right. It is funny, so I will play it again. Who am I to deny you all what you want? I'm here for you. I got your back. 503-248-0620 is your telephone number. 503-248-0620. Dave, Softy, Mall are going to swing by at 420. All right, it's 4 o'clock. Chad here. What's up, my friends? Hope you're enjoying your Wednesday. Number 6 Oregon's going to meet Penn State in Happy Valley on Saturday at 4:30 NBC. It's going to be in the middle of a whiteout. Nittany Lions remain a 3.5-point favorite. Huge weekend in college football. I can't wait. Bama at Georgia, USC at Illinois, LSU's at Ole Miss, and Notre Dame will play at Arkansas. You can hear that on your home of the Blazers, 620 Rip City Radio, kickoff at 9 in the morning. The Commanders are going to be in Hotlanta Sunday. Jaden Daniels says he feels good, but his status remains. Tomorrow night, Thursday night prime. Right now, the Hawks are a 1-point favorite. The Seattle Mariners have clinched. Tomorrow night, Thursday night prime. Right now, the Hawks are a 1-point favorite. The Seattle Mariners have clinched a playoff spot, and now I've got their sights set on the AL West crown. They're going to host the Rockies tonight at T-Mobile. Luis Castillo on the call for the M's. First pitch at 6:40. Dave Softy Muller at 4:20. Look at me that way. This song is awesome. You Make Me Wanna by Thomas Rhett. And we have some tickets to give away. Give me some volume on that shacker. The thing I'm thinking. Make me wanna. All right, we have tickets to give away. Do you want to give away some right now, Shaq Daddy? He's giving me the thumbs up. Thomas Rhett's going to be Friday night at the Cascades Amphitheater in Ridgefield. I mean, heck, if you want, you can just swing by my crib. I'll give you some food before you head over there. I'm like 5 minutes away. But if you got a little country and you like I do, why don't you fire away with the phone call right now, 503-248-0620. And we'll make it simple. First caller through, 503-248-0620. If you want a pair of tickets for Thomas Rhett up in Ridgefield. Now give me some more volume, Shacker. Tell you everything I'm thinking. All right, Rip City Drive. This song right here would be a good example of why I love. What's the name of that app that tells you the name of the song? Shazam? It's one of my favorite apps. Have you used Shazam? I'm sure most of you have. But I love it when I walk into like a coffee shop, or I could be in a department store. People actually go to department stores anymore. But I love it because I can hit that. If I hear a song and maybe I don't know the name of it or the artist, I can Shazam it. And I remember where I was at. It was down in Zona a couple of years ago. I was down there with my buddy Steve, and we had gone over to State Farm or Stadium to check out the Eagles and Cardinals. And we were just hanging out. Eagle fans, if you've not been around a large group of Eagle fans, it's good people watching because they are crazy, stronger than horseradish and insane. So we were just enjoying ourselves out in the sunshine watching Eagle fans be Eagle fans. And they had music playing in the background, and I heard this song. I was like, that's country, but it sounds pretty good in my ears. So I did a little Shazam action, and then I added that song to my playlist. So Thomas Rhett is going to be at the amphitheater up in Ridgefield Friday. And we got more tickets. We'll give away those some more today as well. And the amphitheater's nice, especially right now because the weather's still good. I'm sad that the days are getting shorter, but, you know, what can you do? What can you do? All right, coming up on the show, Dave Softy Mahler here in about 15 minutes. We'll get his take on the Mariners. Cal Raleigh, I mean, is he really the one responsible? How much did it mean for the front office that Cal Raleigh was the one who spoke out? He'll share his grief when it comes to Scott's service, what it would mean for the Mariners to win a championship in the city of Seattle. And we'll get his take on Washington and Ohio State. Dave Softy-Mahler coming up in 15 minutes. And then we have a little bit of a takeover, the I-5 corridor with Justin Myers and Tyson Alger going to jump on together at 5:20 to preview Oregon and Ohio State. What a game that is. I can't wait to see that game. So those two will be at 5:20. And then tomorrow, Bino. Brian O, Fox Sports Radio. Bino! He's going to join us, and we'll talk football. Also tomorrow, I finally got in touch with PGA David Coleman. He's going to stop by tomorrow to preview the Ryder Cup. And I think I mentioned this yesterday, but my Ryder Cup fandom is very simple. Not a fan of the Euros, not a fan of Rory, and I want to see the Americans drop the hammer on them. And they probably won't, but that's what I'm hoping for. I want the Americans to dominate Ryder Cup action because I know the Euros get really pissy when they lose that, and it makes me happy. And I'm not a fan of Roy. I know a lot of people are like, oh, Roy, he keeps it real. He's a PGA guy. Roy is a baby, and he's soft, and I'm not a fan. I don't like guys that won't answer questions when things don't go well. It's part of the reason why I didn't like Muscles Bryson DeChambeau for a while, because he was real whiny about, I don't understand why the cameras have to be honest, when we're having an awful round. Well, because, moron, you're a pro. And when you choose to become a pro and make millions, that means that you're going to get attention and you're going to have cameras on you. And as a professional athlete, even though you've been coddled and babied in your golf life, you have to stand up and be able to take accountability. And when you don't, it's pathetic. So I'm not a fan of Roy. I think he's a big baby. I mean, heaven forbid you say something, he might have you kicked off the course because his feelings were hurt. So I think he's soft, and I want him to go down. So there you go. That's what I think about that. And we got a winner. We got a winner chicken dinner for Thomas Red. Very nice. 503-248-0620. So Oregon at Penn State. This game is awesome. I think the Ducks are going to win. They are going to beat Penn State, and here's why. One, we know that James Franklin, and I have respect for him, a great coach, great recruiter. But the problem with him is that we know he doesn't win big games. And who do you think the pressure is going to be on in this game coming up on Saturday? Now, some people might quickly say, oh, the Ducks, they're on the road. It's going to be a whiteout. Well, truth be told, it's going to be on Penn State. They're at home. They've had ample time to prepare for this game. They're coming off a bye week. They're expected and have been picked by many, including Phil Steele, to win the championship. They've got the experience coming back at quarterback. They've got the best offensive line in college football. So the pressure's on Penn State. Oregon, kind of in a great spot here. On the road, young quarterback, making his first massive road start. There's not a lot of pressure there. I think what's going to happen is that this game, if the Ducks avoid and can manage the early storm with all the emotion, what is it Coach Lanning says? Play the game, not the occasion. Like, there's a lot of things coaches say that's just coach speak, but I like that. Don't get caught up in all the hoopla that's going on around you. It doesn't matter if it's a whiteout. It doesn't matter if there's a bunch of fans screaming for one team. Once you get out there on the field, you're playing football, a game you're quite familiar with. Play the game, not the occasion. I love that advice. So you manage the early storm, and by manage, I mean don't make the big mistake with the early emotion. What would concern me would be a quarterback like Dante Moore being so amped up, so geeked out of his mind that a couple of early balls sail on him because he's got adrenaline flowing through his body. Take a shot over the middle. It goes a little bit high, picked off by a safety, short field for Penn State, that kind of stuff. Like, you got to avoid that. So what I would do if I was Will Stein is put the QB, which I'm sure he will, in a position to get some early completions, to get everything, the emotions kind of settled in his body and mind. And then from there, you can start to really open up your offense. So what I think is going to happen is the Ducks will weather the early storm. And then you get into the second half, and that's where the Penn State factor with James Franklin becomes real. The sphincter tightens up just a little bit. You get a little tight. It just starts to clench up a little bit. you start to grip a little bit with decision making. And that's where I think Oregon starts to take over. Now, I think the real battle, and this is the most important thing, Oregon's defensive line, which I've been impressed with, and I love what Lanning has done, especially at defensive tackle. They have to win first and second down. It's very simple to me. You win first and second down with the defensive line and keep Penn State in third and longer situations like 3rd and 8, 3rd and 9. Drew Aller, in my opinion, is not going to be able to move the chains through the air consistently enough to win the game that way. Now, if the Ducks aren't stopping the run, they're getting pushed off the ball because Penn State's offensive line is legit. If they're giving up big runs on first and second down and it's third and manageable, then all of a sudden they're in trouble. But I don't think the Penn State will be able to do that. And then this is where the benefit of what we're seeing right now. The Ducks somehow, some way have got the offensive line playing with continuity early in the season. Love the additions of Harkey and World at tackle. But those guys are winning the battle up front, and the Ducks have great balance back in their offense. They're running the football with authority right now, and that's exactly what you need. And they're averaging like almost 7 yards a carry for crying out loud. And that balance is going to help them in a game like this. I also think the Ducks have better team speed based on from what I can glean from both squads. So, yeah, I like Oregon. And I think the Ducks getting 3.5 is pretty tasty. So that's how I see it. I think the Ducks win, and they put themselves in that driver's seat to meet up with likely Ohio State in the Big Ten title game. Now, when I first looked at the schedule, I just thought, Penn State, Iowa. But the Washington game now is looking like it might be a little more difficult than what we first thought because Jed Fish is a great coach. Jed Fish knows what he's doing, and he's got that team playing really well. We'll find out a lot more about the Huskies coming up this weekend because they play Ohio State. So there you have it. Ducks win, Ducks remain unbeaten, and James Franklin continues to be James Franklin. I mean, if we've seen it long enough, we know who they are and what they do in big spots. They don't get over. And it doesn't matter if they're at home or on the road. Like last year, Penn State did not win a game of consequence. They lost to Oregon in the Big Ten championship game. They lost at home to Ohio State because they clinched up. And then against a real playoff team like Notre Dame, they didn't get over. But they beat, who they beat? SMU and friggin' Boise? Whoopity-doo! No disrespect, of course. But those are games they were heavily favored and expected to win. So it's going to be awesome. That game at 4:30 on NBC and Peacock. Advertisers all over the place. It's going to be a fat and happy Saturday with college football. It's all over the place. It's going to be a fat and happy Saturday with college football. All right, when we come back, Dave Softy Mahler. Mariners, Huskies, Buckeyes, everything. He'll be yelling and he'll be loud and he'll probably drop a couple of bombs we have to bleep out because that's how he rolls. But Dave Softy Mahler is coming up next. I appreciate your time. In fact, I thank you for taking time to listen to me today. We'll have more Thomas Rhett tickets to give away as well. You got the Rip City Drive with Chad doing on your home of the Blazers, 620 Rip City Radio. All right, Rip City Drive. Very happy to go up north and be joined by our good friend from 93.3 FM KJR. It's Dave Softy Mahler, who's back on the show. So, Softy, what's more important to you right now, the Mariners' playoff run, they clinched last night, or the Huskies and Buckeyes coming up from Husky Stadium on Saturday?
Well, as much as I love the Dogs, and first of all, good to be on with you, number one, I got nothing else going on, so I guess I'll just talk to you for a few minutes. I think you're talking about a playoff run versus week 4 of the regular season in college football that has become more irrelevant as the days go by because of the expanded playoff tournament. I mean, you would have asked me 30, 20 years ago, 10 years ago, you lose this game and you're done, right? Your chances of doing something big at the end of the year are finished, but not anymore. I mean, hell, Ohio State lost 2 games a year ago and they won the damn national championship. So right now I'm more fired up for the Mariners. This city is popping right now, Chad. Something that we haven't seen for 24 years could happen tonight with a division title. So I think you got to be kind of a bozo to not say the Mariners are at top of your list because of what they could get done in about 7 hours from now.
All right, I understand the batting average is not there, but if he gets to 60 home runs, do you think Cal Raleigh could win the MVP past Judge?
Yes, absolutely can win the MVP. Come on, man. I mean, there's no question. There's a little bit of Yankee fatigue out there, I think, from the media. I think that the Yankees would have to win the division for Aaron Judge to be a lock for the MVP, and them not winning the East opens the door for Cal. He's the best catcher in baseball. The way that he leads that baseball team, the way he plays defense, the 60 home runs, if he gets there, 58, even if he sits on 58 for the rest of the year, I think he absolutely has a great shot to win the MVP. I mean, if you want to tell me that Aaron Judge is the MVP, I get it. The guy is a more complete hitter. But this award sometimes doesn't go to the best player. It goes to the guy who had the biggest impact on his baseball team. And I don't know. I mean, you take Judge off the Yankees, and they're not great. But you take Cal Raleigh off this Mariner baseball team, and they're DOA. Like, we're not even talking about these guys even being anywhere near the playoff push without Cal Raleigh. So I absolutely think Cal Raleigh's got a great shot to win the MVP.
I agree, and that's the way I look at it, is like impact on the team and what it means, and he's been tremendous. I just get all these analytic nerds that are like, oh, Chad, no one with the batting average that low has ever won the MVP before. And it's like, I don't care because I see the impact that he's having, for crying out loud.
Yeah, what do these guys say to you again? Tell me what they say.
Chad, no one with the batting average that low has ever won the MVP before.
Yeah, but how many of those guys with a batting average that low had 60 home runs? I mean, come on, man. Like, let's not be stupid here. And first of all, batting average doesn't mean nearly as much as it used to back in the day. OPS is OPS plus is a much bigger factor now than batting average was. So if those sabermetric dorks are getting after you about batting average, then ask about OPS. Ask about OPS plus. Ask about the ballpark factors. Ask about his home road splits. Ask about what he does in wins versus what he does in losses. Ask about being the best home run hitter from a switch hitter perspective in the history of baseball. So, look, I'm not here to argue with these dorks. We could be here all freaking day, but if you can't see the impact that Cal Raleigh is having on this baseball team and the rest of the major leagues, I mean, hell, you got a guy like Austin Hedges, who's the catcher for the Guardians, who came out just completely stroking Cal Raleigh the other day on Chris Rose's podcast, saying he should be the MVP and not Aaron Judge. So, look, I'm not going to throw a fit if Aaron Judge wins the MVP. The guy is a phenomenal player. But if the question is, does Cal Raleigh have a shot to win it? He absolutely freaking does have a shot to win the MVP. And I got to be honest with you, I think he's going to win the MVP.
I'm with you on that. Now, Softy, we've talked about this before. You made the point again last night. I'm wondering over the last couple of months since the last time I talked to you, if you've been able to gather any information. I want to know if Cal's comments when he called out the front office a couple of years ago and then, the manager told him to be quiet. It's easy to overstate these type of things, but did he have a real impact in what we saw the front office do at the trade deadline when they went all in and put them in a position to win a championship?
I don't think there's any doubt that those comments had an impact because Cal Raleigh said that after the 2023 season. I remember exactly where I was. I was doing the radio show from the Emerald Queen Casino in Tacoma when that story broke, and I could not have been more pissed off at Scott Service when those comments came out. I mean, first of all, Scott Service himself is a former catcher, number one. Number two, Scott Service is the manager, and you would think he would agree with Cal that he wants as much help as he can get to make that baseball team better. I mean, hell, Lou Piniella back in the day, was famous for bitching and moaning about the front office not giving him the offensive help that he needs. And here's a catcher who by that point in time was in his third, I think, full season in baseball, second or third full season in baseball. And he's got the cojones to come out and criticize management for not going out and making the baseball team better. And the freaking idiot manager tells this guy to control his emotions. I mean, I could not believe what I was hearing out of Scott Service. He absolutely lost me that day as the manager. So then what happens? They fire Scott Service, and then a year later, 2 years later, after those comments that Cal Raleigh made, he fires his own agent and Scott Boras and agrees to re-sign an extension with the Mariners. I don't think Cal Raleigh signs that contract extension, Chad, with the Mariners unless he felt really good about the front office buying in to make this baseball team as good as they possibly could make it. I thought they failed over the offseason. They never should have began the year with Polanco at third. They never should have began the year with Rowdy Tellez at first base. And if they would have made those moves over the offseason, this baseball team is probably 8 or 9 games up right now and clear of the 1 seed by a large margin over Toronto. So I absolutely credit Cal Raleigh. They should engrave his frickin' face into Mount Rainier after what he did 3 years ago, man. He was a huge reason why this front office got off their ass and decided to make the moves they made at the deadline. Huge.
You're one of the few people that can answer this properly. What would a World Series title mean for that city, Seattle?
Oh, it means fucking everything. Are you kidding me? I mean, look, I know we can bleep that out. I apologize for my language, but I'm getting into these debates with these Seahawks fans about, what's going to be bigger, the World Series or the Super Bowl. And look, there's no yes or no answer. There's no right or wrong answer. This is all about context. It's all about your own perceptions. It's all about your own priorities. And to me, you're talking about a Seahawks fan base that was able to taste success 7 years into their franchise history in the 83 AFC Championship game. They've had playoff runs before. They're generally considered one of the better run franchises in the NFL versus a joke in the Mariners for 50 years that had to wait 19 years for their first playoff run and then 21 years for their second playoff run after the 2001 season came to an end. So we grew up with things like the Red Sox and the Yankees and the Dodgers and the Cardinals and the Braves and the Twins in the World Series. It was never about Seattle. The World Series wasn't for us. The World Series was for somebody else. So we can't even fathom. We can't even dream. We can't even imagine what it would be like to be in the World Series. And the other difference is that you're talking about one big game on a Sunday, which I know is pretty damn big, obviously, versus 7 games every other day for a week and a half, maybe 4 of them in your own town. And the World Series and the championship round of Major League Baseball absolutely owning a city for potentially 10 days. And no matter where you are, you want to be a part of it every single day for a week and a half. Even on days when they're not playing, you'll be looking ahead to the game tomorrow or talking about the game behind you. So I just think it's totally different, Chad, when it's in your town. I think it's totally different when you've got 7 games versus 1. But I will admit, in the end, I have no idea what the hell I'm talking about because I've never been to a World Series, and I have no idea. This is all just my guess.
Oh, that's awesome. We're talking to Dave Softy Muller, 93.3 KJR FM. All right, the Huskies. I got to be honest with you. I was talking to Alex Brink yesterday, and he was going on and on about the quality of character and play of Desmond Williams Jr., and I was blown away by the way he performed in the Apple Cup. I like his leadership and the playmaking so far this year. What's been the key to his success that you've seen thus far?
Yeah, first of all, and you're not the first one to make this mistake, it's not Desmond Williams, it's Damon Williams. A lot of people have said that across the country. I don't blame you because a lot of people don't know a lot about the guy. That's okay. I mean, it's not like you're just south of Seattle, a couple hundred miles away, and playing the same conference as the guy and, saw him last year when he started against the Ducks and all that. It's not like you should know what the hell is going on here in Seattle. But, yeah, Damon Williams is a freaking stud, dude. I mean, the guy's accurate as hell. A lot of people like to pigeonhole him as a running quarterback that dinks and dunks the football, but that's just pure stupidity. That's just ignorance. I mean, go back and watch the film. Go back and look at his numbers. The guy's averaging well over 10 yards a throw. He's pushing the ball downfield. Don't know if you saw the final play of the Apple Cup, that near 60-yard bomb to Amari Evans that made it a 59-point game against Washington State. So he's got an arm. There's no question about it, and he's got great decision-making, and he can clearly run. He's fast as hell. You give this guy an inch, he's going to take a friggin' mile, man. He is unbelievable on the ground. The only thing that scares me about him is his stature. And when I see him get popped like I did on Saturday multiple times by Cougar defenders, he's getting back up, man. He's like Rocky fighting Ivan Drago. He gets smacked in the face and just pops right back up every single time. But eventually there's going to be a time where even the toughest guys get hit and they can't take it and they go down with an injury. So they've got to find a way to limit how many times Damon Williams is getting popped. That's the one thing about him that concerns me. But, dude, he was plus 10,000 to win the Heisman Trophy before the season started. And just these three little stupid games against Colorado State, UC Davis, and Wazoo, he's now down to plus 5,000. What's that going to do? What are the odds going to look like if he plays well and even beats Ohio State on Saturday? So if you like long shots for the Heisman, I'd jump on DeMond, not Desmond Williams, right now.
All right, what's your read on Ohio State? I'm an idiot, and I'm sorry. I don't want to disrespect a great young player in DeMond Williams.
I'm going to start calling you Chuck, by the way, instead of Chad. Chuck Dewey. What's happening, Chuck? I'm just messing with you. You know I'm just messing with you.
No, I love you. You know I love you, and I deserve it, man. I'm not afraid to admit that when I deserve to be hammered, you can hammer me, no question about it. Now, Ohio State, what's your read?
How's that Oregon quarterback David Moore doing for you guys? Or is it Daryl Moore? What's his name again? Huh?
Dante. All
right, that's right. I forgot.
What's your read on the Buckeyes? You know, that the win over Texas may not be that impressive right now. They haven't really played anyone after that. We know they're strong at the line of scrimmage, but I mean, what's your true read on this? They're going to show up and be ready to play, but what do you think?
Yeah, well, I'll just tell you what we've been saying now for a few months. And when I say saying, I mean saying, as in Julian Sayin, the quarterback for Ohio State, the freshman from Carlsbad. A lot of people have watched him play. I know from high school they say he's the real deal. I don't know how good that league is down there in the San Diego, Carlsbad area, but a lot of people I trust say the guy's legit, so we'll go with that. Ever since the offseason, we've assumed that UW is going to be 3-0 with these three, fakakta, stupid-ass games they played against nobody. And if Ohio State can beat Texas, they're going to be 3-0. So that means Julian Sayin, the freshman quarterback, is going to fly across country and make his very first road start ever at Washington. And that's what's happening this Saturday. So that's got to matter. You know, John Wilner, who works for the San Jose Mercury News, he's on our show every single week. He was tracking this a year ago that Big Ten conference teams going multiple time zones from east to west or west to east were 8-18 overall last season. So I'm hoping that some of that plays a role in this game on Saturday. I'm a little bit concerned about Carnell Tate and Jeremiah Smith, their wide receivers, because the Huskies might be down to Cario Davis, their big corner, who's the transfer from Arizona. They brought in Price Sock 2 years ago. They brought in Davis this last offseason exactly for games like this, to match up with those guys, those horses on the outside, and they may not have one of them this weekend against the Buckeyes. So that's a concern, no question about it. But the biggest question for me, can they run the ball? Can Jonah Coleman be Jonah Coleman? Can this rebuilt offensive line that we know is better, how much better, right? We know they're better. I mean, they were garbage a year ago. They were awful last season, but that was to be expected. They lost every single starter. Of course they were going to be worse than they were the year before when they won the Joe Moore Award. So there's no doubt they're better. Question is how much. We're going to find out a lot on Saturday.
All right, final thought. I was at the Nebraska game in 92. I went to the Nebraska game in 97. I was at the Stanford game in 16. I mean, this has got a chance to be one of the all-time great atmospheres at Husky Stadium. What's been the best environment game-wise that you've been at that stadium?
Oh, God. I mean, the Oregon game in 2023, I know you guys hate hearing that, but that game a couple years ago was freaking sensational. After the Huskies won the 1990, all I saw was Purple game with Todd Marinovich. Huskies won 31-0. Really kind of put their stamp on the national perspective. 92 Nebraska was good. It was the first night game in the history of Husky football. I mean, the 2009 win over USC, coming off the 0-12 season and knocking off Pete Carroll and Sark's first year. The 2000 Miami game when the Hurricanes came to Seattle with 17 future first-round draft picks, 17, and the Huskies whipped them at Husky Stadium. I mean, I can keep going on and on and on about all the great games we've seen inside that stadium. The Stanford game in 2016, Friday night, two top 10 teams, and Chris Peterson really kind of established himself on that night by kicking the crap out of what we thought was going to be a pretty good Stanford team. Michigan State in 2022 when DeBoer's had his first year and the Spartans came out here and got destroyed, and Kalen kind of established himself on that day. So I don't know, man. I could be here all freaking day, but Husky Stadium, it's going to be sold out on Saturday. It's going to be friggin' loud at that stadium, and I'm really hoping that makes a difference for the home team on Saturday, man.
All right, Softy, 93.3 FM KJR in Seattle. What a great week it is in Seattle sports, buddy. I appreciate you coming on to join us and talk about it.
Okay, anytime, man. You want me to come on and talk about your quarterback out there, Dennis Moore, just let me know. I'd love to chat about him.
Hey, will you give my best to Desmond before the Ohio State game, please?
Yeah. You know I'm never letting that go, by the way. You know that, right?
I understand that, and I deserve it. All right, big thanks to Softy Desmond. DeMond Williams Jr. I got it wrong. Because when you look at the name, for some reason my brain, and I would imagine other people's brains, it just naturally puts the S in there. It happens. But I'm excited about that game. That's just one of several phenomenal games coming up on Saturday. Now, coming up at 5:20, Tyson Alger and Justin Myers both will join the show. A little I-5 corridor takeover to preview what's coming up with the Ducks and the Nittany Lions. And I already laid out my case. I like Oregon. I think their defensive line will keep Penn State in third down and longer situations, and that's going to lead to great success. All right, so you can reach out to me. You can text me direct, 360-281-5473. You can call the show at 503-248-0620. You can join us on YouTube. Just go to youtube.com, pull up our homepage, Rip City Radio 620. And that is that. And now tomorrow, Brian No, Bino, and then we'll preview the Ryder Cup with PJ Day, David Coleman. So it should be good. All right, 503-248-0620 is your telephone number. And that's what I'm looking at. The NFL games I'll get to, and we'll dive into more of that coming up tomorrow with Bino. But there's some great matchups coming up this weekend in the NFL as well. We're going to find out a lot about more teams. The one team I'm really curious about, how about Indianapolis making me look like a dum-dum? On fire, playing as good as anybody in the league right now. At 3-0, they're at the Rams. 1 o'clock kick on Fox. I mean, that would seem like a great opportunity for the Rams there. But I've just been impressed with Daniel Jones. His playmaking, his decision-making, being on time, on schedule with the offense. Really effective. Really effective. So it's been good to see. All right, so that's what we'll do. I-5 corridor takeover, which is going to be nice. 503-248-0620 is your telephone number. We'll come back, and I'll take a look at some of those matchups in the NFL. You got the Rip City Drive with Chad doing on your home of the Blazers, 620 Rip City Radio. I just got a text message from Tony and Boring. He said, Dave Softy Mahler is a rare breed. His pie hole opens, and it makes it so easy to dislike him. So I forwarded it to Softy, and he just responded. And I sent that over to Tony so he could check out Softy's response. I don't think I should read Softy's response in there because it may not be radio appropriate, but it's funny. Oh, it's so good. I love it. Someone came up with an action figure. It said, typical Dogs fan. This is before the Apple Cup. And it was like a fat, Softy action figure with like all of his Dogs football, which is going to be awesome. And Micah Parsons making his return to big football, which is going to be awesome. And Micah Parsons making his return to Big D. So he was asked what it's going to be like. You know, he's like the last guy to sack Tom Brady, and he's going to be the first guy, hopefully, to sack Dak. And he was asked about that.
Micah, you were the last guy ever to sack Tom Brady. It happened in that playoff game. Is there any quarterback that you've enjoyed taking down more than anyone else?
Probably is Tom, because every time I see him, it's a competitive matchup, whether it's on the field, off the field, whether it's golf or Fanatics games, he's always trying to be the best. So when you can say you're the last person to take out an elite competitor like Tom, it's a special privilege.
And what if you get that opportunity? I know you will want to with Dak. What would that feel like?
It's gonna be painful. You know what I mean? Dak's my guy. You know, he was always like a good mentor for me. But you know what it is. I always told him if I ever faced him that, it'll be a great matchup. So I'm excited to see what Sunday brings itself.
That's pretty sweet. That's going to be fun to watch. Packers, Cowboys from Big D. And he went on.
And what if you get that opportunity? I know you will want to with Dak. What would that feel like?
It's going to be painful. You know what I mean? Dak's my guy. You know, he was always like a good mentor for me. But you know what it is. I always told him if I ever faced him that, it'll be a great matchup. So I'm excited to see what Sunday brings itself.
All right, that's going to be sweet. That's going to be a lot of fun. Micah getting a chance to go back as a Packer to play against the Cowboys. Dak better have his dome on a swivel. That's all I got to say about that. Now, I'm going to play this only because someone asked, but someone wanted to hear Jerry Jones' definition of a glory hole. He actually went on live radio down in Dallas to break this down. Take a listen to this. It's amazing.
Well, he knows it's an oil field term. Comes from out when you're in the business of drilling wells. And it's when you've basically made a big well and mentally or physically picture just drilling a well and all of a sudden having all the oil start coming out at once, going in the air, and that's when you've known you've hit a glory hole.
Jerry,
I'm not going the other place, guys. I'm not going this. Too early in the morning.
How good is that? That's an owner of an NFL team right there, joking about glory hole. And that all spans from his original presser breaking it down.
I think that's a part of leadership, is to have some of the guys that have gone before that have been disappointed to share it with everybody involved. For me, it's a reminder. I, too, have been here 23 years. And it is a reminder. I've been here when it was glory hole days, and I've been here when it wasn't. And so having said that, I want me some glory hole. So I have that perspective.
That's a good perspective, sir. So there you have it. So good. Jerry Jones is a beauty, an absolute beauty. I'm not sure Cowboy fans like him right now, but I sure do, because he provides endless hours of entertainment. All right, taking a look at some of the games coming up this weekend in the NFL. We got the Thursday night prime game coming up tomorrow with the Hawks and Cardinals. Seattle opened as a dog. They're now a favorite. I like the Cardinals to get over in that one. The short week, normally, as we've seen so far in Thursday night football, it typically favors a home team. So I like the Cardinals in that one. With the Vikings and Steelers, I have no idea. It's over in Dublin, Ireland. I like the way that Carson Wentz, he might be the best backup in football right now. Playing great football for the Vikes. He's got a great coach. The Steelers have been kind of hit or miss. Just a little bit. Hit or miss. Commanders at the Falcons. Obviously, that's going to depend heavily on the health of Jaden Daniels, but I'm leaning Falcons in that one. The Saints are at the Bills. The Bills are like a 16-point favorite. Give me the Bills. The Saints are, well, they're awful. But part of it's by purpose because they're trying to put themselves in a position to have access to better players in the draft. That's a nice way of saying they're tanking. Browns at the Lions. Hard to imagine Cleveland staying competitive on that track. If this game were in Cleveland, different story. On the grass where their defensive line could really start to assert themselves. But Detroit playing so good right now, coming off the win over Baltimore, that offense in that dome, very difficult to keep up with. My problem is, I love the Browns' defense, but their offense with Joe Flacco is rough right now. I just don't think they're going to be able to score enough to keep up. That's all. Panthers at the Patriots, hideous football game. Chargers at the Giants. I like the Chargers here. I'm excited to see Jackson Dart play. I want to see how Brian Daboll uses him. And we're going to see a lot more of Cam Scattaboo. But hard to imagine Jackson Dart getting a win in his first game. Can you imagine being a rookie? It's like, hey, we're going to start you. Oh, by the way, we got the Chargers coming in playing as well as anybody in the NFL right now. Their defense has been locked down. But excited to see Jackson Dart. Alex Sprink's a big fan. Brian Daboll is a big fan. I just hope that offensive line doesn't get him killed in his first chance to go out there and play. Eagles are at the Bucks. I don't know what it is about Tampa, but they always play Philly tough at home. You've got the home team 3-0. Baker Mayfield. They've got some injuries, but I like the Bucks plus the 3.5. Titans at the Texans, a battle of 0-3 teams. Horrendous football game. Horrible. Texans can't move the football, and the Titans have a rookie quarterback and probably the dumbest coach in the NFL, and Mr. Callahan. No offense. Colts at the Rams. I like the Rams to deliver the first loss of the year to the Colts. Give me the 49ers over the Jags. I like the Chiefs as a home dog over the Ravens. I think Baltimore is going to go to 1-3. We all know the Bears are not going to win on the road in Vegas. They won as a home dog against Dallas, and now they got to go on the road. Little role reversal as a favorite now. We all know the Raiders are going to win that game. And I think the Packers and Cowboys will be a close one on Sunday Night Football. Monday night, Jets and Dolphins, hideous. Bengals at Broncos, hideous. I'm just hoping that Sean Payton shows some type of competency when it comes to offense. Can you get your young quarterback who's supposed to be a top 5 guy, Bo Nix, playing like a top 5 guy? Because right now the offense has been hot or cold. And Sean, please, do me a favor, run the football. You talk about the need to run the football, but yet when you have a chance to run the football, you don't run the football. And yet J.K. Dobbins get off to a really hot start, and he was starting to assert himself there in the second half and the third quarter, and you got away from that. And then in 4th and inches, you decided to punt and gave the ball right back to Herbert. It's like, what are you, a dum-dum? Go for it. They're going to score regardless, for crying out loud. Keep your offense on the field. I'm losing my patience. It's like, come on, Sean. There's a little bit of arrogance working there. All right, 5:20, we're going to have Tyson Alger and Justin. There's a little bit of arrogance working there. All right, 5:20, we're going to have Tyson Alger and Justin Myers on for a little takeover to preview Oregon and Penn State. I appreciate your time. You got the Rip City Drive with Chad doing on your home of the Blazers, 620 Rip City Radio. All right, 5 o'clock chat here. The Seattle Mariners have clinched a playoff spot now, have their eyes set on the AL West crown. They're going to host the Rockies tonight, 6:40 pitch from T-Mobile Park. Luis Castillo is going to be on the bump for the Mariners. Seattle will finish up their season this weekend at home against the Los Angeles Dodgers. Seahawks are at the Cardinals tomorrow night, little Thursday night prime football. Right now, the Seahawks about a 1.5-point favorite on the road. The Commanders take on the Falcons Sunday. Jaden Daniels says he feels good, but his status remains up in the air. Team doctors will make the call. Got a huge weekend of college football. Number 6 Oregon is going to meet number Penn Station on NBC. 3.5-point favorite Penn State remains throughout the nation on NBC. 3.5-point favorite Penn State remains throughout the course of the week. Justin Myers and Tyson Alger, a little I-5 corridor takeover coming up at 5:20 to preview the game. Way. You make me wanna. You everything I'm thinking. All right, it's time to give away more tickets. We have tickets for Thomas Rhett, who's coming up this Friday at the amphitheater up in Ridgefield. The Cascades Amphitheater, which is just moments from my crib. You can swing by and say hi to me if you want. I'd be perfectly okay with that. This is a great song, actually. I think we'll keep this simple. We have one pair to give away today, and we'll give away 2 more pairs for the show tomorrow at 4 o'clock here on the Rip City Drive. All you have to do is listen to me for a chance to win. I mean, I'm not lying. When I say I'm a man of the people, like I really am. It's one of the good things I bring to this whole operation. I'm not good at radio, but I am a man of the people. I'm here to care for you. And that's why I've got tickets to give away. So let's take the first caller. Just break me off a call right now, and Shacker will get your information. 503-248-0620. 503-248-0620. I want to hear from a Thomas Rhett fan. Call now. 503-248-0620. That is the telephone number. All right. There you go. 503-248-0620. You can call now. And you'll get tickets for Thomas Rhett, and we'll give away another pair coming up tomorrow at 4. Oh, my gosh. I can't believe it. I've been on hold for like 40 minutes with Ticketmaster, and I was trying to time it out to where they'd come on during a break, and they didn't, and they just came on during the show, and so I missed the call. Is there anything worse than being on hold in life? And now they're asking me to take the survey. I didn't talk to anyone, you morons. Oh, my gosh. I hate being on hold, and I hate the on-hold music, the whole thing. I'm hanging up on you. Goodbye. That stuff gives me anxiety. It's like, look, I needed to talk to somebody. I shouldn't have to wait for 40 minutes. I'm trying to do a radio show, and then I miss the call. Of course. Typical. All right, there you go. That's how my day's going. Everything else is good, though. We got tickets. We got big football games coming up this weekend. We've got the I-5 corridor coming up with the takeover of the show at 5:20. I mean, I don't know how to express this. How do I explain this in other terms? This weekend is all about the college football. Like all the buildup, it's like foreplay. We get a few weeks of college football. We get a couple of good games. We get a taste of what it's all about. And all of a sudden, wham, everything just hits all at once. And we're on to the main event now. I just can't believe how good these games are. This is just top 25 action I'm talking about here. And I think it's a defining Saturday because we're going to find out a lot about a lot of different teams. in terms of what they bring to the table. Are they for real? Are they pretenders? Florida State, they're number 8 in the country, undefeated. They beat Alabama. They have to be at Virginia on Friday night. Virginia. They got to play Virginia as a 7-point road favorite. The question here would be, can they not overlook this game when they've got freaking Miami looming the following week? It's a trap game. It's a trap. Isn't that what Leia said to Luke? Luke, don't, it's a trap. That's what Mike Norvell should be screaming at his players right now. It's a trap. So we're going to find out a lot about them. They've been very impressive. And the way they just dropped a hammer on Bama with their physicality was great. So Florida State at Virginia, 4 o'clock ESPN on Friday. Watch out for the trap game. Then we've got a Big 12 matchup. 2 teams. The winner's going to be in prime position to possibly get in the Big 12 title game. Number 24, TCU's at Arizona State. Horned Frogs 3-0. Sun Devils 3-1. And 2 great quarterbacks. That's why you should watch it. Josh Hoover, the vacuum, against Sam Levitt from Westland. And Duke, the UPS driver, was hitting me up saying, dude, I love watching Levitt play. He can scramble. He's a scrambling machine. I like these white guys that have the underrated speed, too, when they start running away from backers. So Friday night's going to be great. Florida State, Virginia, TCU, Arizona State. 9 o'clock on Fox Saturday morning. Number 21, USC's at number 23, Illinois. The Illini are coming off a beat down at Indiana. The Trojans are unbeaten at 4-0. And they're playing Lincoln Riley ball. Dominating with the ground game. Great balance in the offense. And Jordan Mailata has been on fire. But now they got to travel cross country, 9 a.m. kickoff, trap situation. It's a trap. Lincoln Riley, better inform your boys. They got to be ready to go or they're going to get schmacked. Great game. Notre Dame somehow is ranked. They don't deserve to be, but they are. 1-2 on the year. 22 is their standing. They play at Arkansas. That game's going to be on 620 Rip City Radio. Kickoff at 9 on ABC. The Irish, a 4.5-point favorite. 12:30 on CBS. Number 1, Ohio State's at Washington. How good are the Huskies? And not only that, but how good are the Buckeyes? You know, they beat Texas. We're all excited. Then we saw Texas play a couple more games. We're like, I don't think that win was that good. The Longhorns are frauds. And Arch Manning looks not like a Manning. Like he might get kicked out of the family for the way he's been playing quarterback, for crying out loud. Julian Sayin making his first true road start. How's he going to do? That atmosphere is going to be off the chain. First monster game for Jed Fish. Number 4, LSU at number 13, Ole Miss at 12:30 on ABC. LSU's defense has been phenomenal. They've been very impressive, but their offense is kind of like a hit or miss type of deal. And Ole Miss would appear to be primed to have a big win. I like their attack. I like the way they play. I think I like Ole Miss in that game. Then you got number 11, Indiana at 4-0 playing at Iowa. And you know how Iowa likes to play. They're like, look, we don't care about offense. We really don't like the forward pass, but we're going to get down and dirty, and we're going to try to muck this game up. We're going to drag you into our style, and then we're going to cause you to lose. It's pretty simple. Tennessee, ranked 15th. Their only loss coming to Georgia. They're going to play at Mississippi State. Now, you might ask, Chad, why do I care about the Bulldogs? Because they're 4-0. They were picked to finish dead last in the SEC. And here they are at 4-0 playing good football. We're going to find out if they're for real or not. They do have a quality win on their slate against Arizona State. Arizona at 3-0. Playing very impressive early season football. At number 14, Iowa State. Both teams are undefeated. The winner will start to really establish themselves as one of the leaders in the Big 12, along with Texas Tech and either Arizona State or TCU. Bama, Georgia. The Tide have not played in Athens since, I think, 2015. Kirby Smart never loses a home game, and Bama fans want to fire Kalen DeBoer. Can they find a way to get the job done? And as great as Kirby Smart is, and he's great, he can't beat Alabama. And then you've got Oregon and Penn State. Both teams, I think, will be playoff teams. The question is, who's going to have the inside track? And I don't think the pressure's on Oregon. I think it's on Penn State. Can they win a big game? Hey, James Franklin, do Do you have the ability to coach your guys in a big game and not blow it like usual? Because we know Dan Lanning, he's getting better on the job. There you have it. That is the slate, and that is why you're going to be watching football all day on Saturday. Unless, of course, you're like Tony and boring and you have some friggin' wedding. Don't you hate those conversations when your wife's like, hey, what do we got going on this weekend? Don't you remember Joe and Tammy are getting married, and you're like, oh, my gosh, you got to be kidding me. Because I know what it's like. I am a guy, so I can speak to this. There's nothing worse than getting pulled into something like that when you'd rather be doing this. No guy at that wedding, unless it's one of those weird dudes I've met from time to time that doesn't like sports, no one wants to be there. No guy does. And it's not because they don't care about the people who are getting married. It's just that the wedding day is about them, and these are big football games we're talking about here. These are games that are going to determine a lot for this football season. I would say one of the most underrated aspects of this job is the need to watch games. And you can drop that on your significant other, your family member. I got to watch the game. I can't miss the game. I'm sorry, I can't go to the wedding. I have to watch the game because I'm going to be talking about it on Monday. And I've got to watch it live. What do you want me to do? I sounded like the bear there. Hey, yo, boo-boo, let's go get a picnic basket. But I do. I have to watch the game. I can't go to the wedding. I'm sorry. Let's send him a gift. But I understand a lot of you guys. That's why I've talked about this all the time. When you have weekends like this, you have to be on top of your game. You got to figure out the honey-do list. You've got to make sure you got to mind your P's and Q's. Because you don't want to get punked or blindsided by some unfortunate trip or occasion that you know you don't want to be at. Besides, we live in America. The chances of the marriage lasting are not good anyways. You want me to miss Penn State, Oregon because you want me to go and watch people get married that were probably going to end up in a divorce? Why would I do that? So there you have it. That's what's going on. Big weekend of college football. Big weekend. Sorry, Tony. And good luck, too. That's what do you think the rules should be on that? Like, if you're trying to go dark and you want to DVR a game and watch it when you get home, don't you think people should be courteous and be like, hey, do you want me to, are you taping? Hands up. I don't want to know anything. Don't tell me. Assume tape. I'm with Larry David on this. You got to assume taping. I don't want to know anything. Don't tell me. Assume tape. I'm with Larry David on this. You got to assume taping. You can't just start. You just can't do it. You just got to assume in a situation like that, guys are probably DVRing stuff and they don't want information. All right, when we come back, we'll preview the game, an I-5 corridor takeover with Justin Myers and Tyson Alger talking Ducks and Nittany Lions. Who is going to win the game and why? You got the Rip City Drive with Chad doing on your home of the Blazers, 620 Rip City Radio. All right, so I reached out to Tyson Alger a few days ago and said, hey, do you have time to join me this week? And he said yes, and we picked today. And I also reached out to Justin Myers because there's no way I can go through a week leading up to Penn State, Oregon and not get some hot takes from him. And he told me that Wednesday was the best day for him. And I thought, wait a second, why don't we just bring on both guys at the same time and have an I-5 corridor takeover of the Rip City Drive? And so they're here, Tyson Alger, Justin Myers. Fellas, welcome. Thank you.
Hey, thanks for having us on,
I
Chad.
was hoping it wasn't going to be all awkward and us talking over each other for the next 20 minutes. I think we'll get past it. But, yeah, stoked to be here, Chad.
Well, the way I want another and interject stuff, feel free to do so. But I just we'll start with Tyson. I think and interject stuff, feel free to do so. But we'll start with Tyson. I think the key to this game for me, through my eyes, for Oregon is the defensive line. I like the way they've played. I love the maneuvers that Lanning has made to beef up the defensive tackles. I think if they can control first and second down and keep Drew Aller in third down and longer situations, they're going to win the game. When you look at this matchup, Tyson, what do you think is the key?
Yeah, I agree with you there. I think it's going to come down to just how well Oregon's front seven is able to play against a pretty experienced Penn State offense. Aller's one of the most experienced quarterbacks in the country. He's pretty talented. He hasn't been off to the best start this season. He hasn't been putting up quite the efficient numbers that maybe you expected. But this was a Penn State offense that rushed for nearly 300 yards against the Ducks back in the Big Ten championship game. It's a rushing attack that has one guy averaging like 8 yards per carry right now. So, yeah, I think there's going to be a big pressure on Oregon's defensive line and entire front seven not to just stop the run, but just make it so Aller can't just be effective in play action stuff as well.
All right, Justin, what about you? Key matchup. What are you looking at?
I mean, to me, I think it's going to come down to those weird plays, right? Is it going to be a missed field goal? Is there going to be an explosion play? Is there going to be turnovers? Because I think these two teams are pretty fairly matched. But here's my question. I'll throw this to both of you. Like, in years past, when Oregon was going to play the number 1, 2, or 3 team in the country on the road, you always thought, like, oh, we've got to play a perfect game. They've got to play a perfect game. And I don't get the feeling that Oregon has to play a perfect game. You have to play a clean football game. You can't obviously have a bunch of turnovers or give up a bunch of explosive plays. But I don't know. I don't get the sense that to go into Happy Valley and get this win, you got to play well. But they match up so well. They may have more talent on the roster. Like, I don't get the sense that Oregon has to play a perfect game. But for me, like, I agree with Tyson. You got to stop the run. Penn State is going to want to establish the run. They're going to want to turn this into a Big Ten, slobber knocker. But these games always come down to like a weird play, a fake punt, maybe a kick return for a score, some kind of turnover. That's the unknown is going to be, I think, a huge part of this game.
You want to add to that, Tyson?
I was just going to say, I agree. I don't think the Ducks need to play a perfect game. This is a very good Penn State team, but I don't think this is a Penn State team that's at the caliber of, what you necessarily saw from like an Ohio State last year. I think they're a very good B+, A- type of team. And if you just go talent on talent, Oregon's got a much richer talent base than them. So I think it's just one of those games where, these playmakers that we've seen for the Ducks that have been so effective through 4 games, if they can manage to do a semblance of that on the road, I think as long as they just don't shoot themselves in the foot too much, I think Oregon's got a pretty good chance in this one.
You know what I like, guys? Normally coaches will have the coach speak, and you can kind of sniff that stuff out. But I like Lanning's message, play the game, not the occasion. I think that's the perfect message when you go into a place that's going to be packed with emotion, especially early in the game.
Yeah, Chad, Tyson and I actually talked about this on our podcast. Like, Oregon hasn't been in an environment like this really before. They've played in big games. They've played in rivalry games. But you think about, like, going on the road all the way essentially across the country, wide out at Penn State, in one of the biggest atmospheres in college football, in a game of top 6 matchups on the road. Like, Oregon hasn't traditionally ever had this matchup. Even some of the best games against Washington, even some of the best games in the old Pac-12 or Pac-10, they haven't had this. So yeah, you're right. I mean, this is a massive key to the game is can Oregon do what Dan Lanning says, right? Can you play the game, not the occasion? Can you not get caught up? Because there's going to be 100,000 Penn State crazies all in white.
I think the thing Justin's discounting here is some of those crazy games in Berkeley in front of like 30,000 people, or some of those games or some of those games over in Boulder where it was just frigid at least. No, it's a fascinating game for the Ducks, and I think that Oregon's approach to the game and not the environment is the right mentality. But it's interesting if you look at this. I think Penn State has a lot more on the line going into this game. I think if you polled most Oregon fans going into the season, I think they would have said, like, yeah, the Ducks could be good. I probably don't think they're going to be ready by this Penn State game. And then all of a sudden we've seen these 4 weeks, and it kind of feels like the Ducks are playing a little bit with house money, whereas Penn State's this team that is returning all the veterans. They did lose to the Ducks in the Big Ten championship game last year. They do have a coach who hasn't been able to quite get over the hump yet. If they lose another game to Oregon here, that's a lot of pressure on that program, especially as they kind of find their place in the new Big Ten, and it might be below the Ducks and below a few other teams.
We're talking with Tyson Alger and Justin Myers, I-5 corridor takeover of the Rip City Drive. Hey, guys, my only concern for Dante Moore wasn't that he's not going to be ready to play. My thought was early in a game like this, in that environment, you've got the adrenaline flowing. Like, I could see how early on in the first few minutes of the game, that's where you could throw a pass over the middle. It sails on you with the adrenaline, and you can turn it over. I just think the Ducks need to weather the early storm, and if they can keep this close going into the second quarter into halftime, that's when the pressure that Tyson just talked about will start to crank up on Penn State.
Yeah, and that's why I've been so impressed by Moore so far. I mean, granted, he hasn't seen anything close to what this Penn State team is, and he never played in this caliber of game during his time at UCLA. But yes, we've seen him make some spectacular throws this year, but I've been more impressed by some of the throws he's decided not to make. He's got a five-star arm, but he hasn't used it every chance that he's gotten this year. And I think he's made some really mature plays and some just heady plays that are the type that are going to keep you into a game, especially early when you're on the road like this.
Again, Tyson, you mentioned how I discounted the games at Berkeley, and I mean, I think, like you said, I think you kind of downplaying those games in front of 30,000 people in a 100,000 seat Rose Bowl, where they're out there having a better time tailgating on the golf course. But yeah, no, I agree with Tyson. Like, Dante Moore, I feel like there was the one kind of pass, the pass over the middle against Northwestern, where he kind of just said, screw it. Like, I've been making all the right decisions. This is into double coverage, but I'm going to bet my guy maybe is better than the defenders. And it bit him. He threw the one pick. But for the most part, like, his decision-making has been his best asset this season. And also, it helps that you have got, like, weapons, right? What is it, like 8 guys? Like, they average, like, 8 receivers a catch per game. Now, they haven't really been playing a monster defense. But when you have that many weapons and that many options, if they take away Decory Moore, if they take away Kenyon, he's got, like, 5 or 6 other dudes to find.
This game is going to be so great. The one thing I want to ask you guys this, because Tyson and I talked about this before the season, as did Justin and I. A lot of concerns going in the offensive line, the continuity with the new guys coming in, the inexperienced receiving core. We didn't know what to expect, but like, what aspect of this team for you guys has been the most impressive through the first few games? Anyone?
No, all right, I'll hop in. You know what? To me, Chad, it's size. Like, the size of this city. These dudes up front are massive, and we've seen great offensive linemen at Oregon, right? And you saw what Mario Cristobal was able to build, but the fact that you can just go out and buy dudes, and that's what they did, right? It's within the rules. We're in an NIL world, and you can go out and just buy dudes, and they are NFL ready up front on the offensive line. To me, that's the most impressive thing. I mean, we could talk about what Decory Moore has brought as a true freshman, but for me, Tyson, I think it's just the sheer size of Oregon up front in the trenches.
You got any thoughts on that one, Tyson?
Did we lose Tyson?
I think we lost Tyson. Hey, Shacker.
Did he bounce?
I think he did. He got tired. You know what it is? I always forget until I talk to you. You're so loud and crazy that I think people just get put off by your noise. It's amazing.
Tyson just – he's like, the true, like, transparency. Like, literally an hour and a half ago, we recorded our podcast for the week. It's going to drop tomorrow morning. And then, I don't know, maybe it was just like that was just too much, like too many hot takes and too much of my loud, gravelly voice that he just couldn't take it anymore.
Hey, Shacker, get Tyson back on. This is what's great. Tyson disappeared. My producer disappeared, and it's just me and Justin again. But, dude, why aren't you going to this game? You should have convinced the wife to do it.
Yeah, that would be a tough one to convince the wife to go to this game. I know. That was you wait a minute. Time out, Chad. Let's have a little one-on-one here. You were the same guy last year, a year ago, who told me I was insane for not going for going to the Ohio State game at Austin because I could have sold my tickets for thousands of dollars and paid for the entire season. And you said you are an idiot for going to this game. And I decided, you know what? Nope, I bought the tickets. I want the experience, and I went. And it was a magical day at Austin Stadium. And now you're telling me to be financially irresponsible?
Yes.
And fund a trip?
No, see, if you would have sold those tickets like I told you, you go to Austin all the time, so it's nothing new. If you would have sold those tickets, you would have enough money for a trip to Penn State and Iowa. Come on now.
But those tickets, what we're going for last year, I'd have had a nice flight too.
Oh, it would have been great. First class, baby.
Loading boarding group A, if you know what I'm talking about.
Now, Tyson, are you going to Happy Valley?
I am, and sorry for the disconnect there. I've spent already like an hour and a half with Justin.
No, you don't need to explain. You got tired of him, dude.
I just couldn't.
Do you hear the way he's shouting over you? He shouts too loud. He's too much.
That's why we only do the weekly podcast. He wanted to do it daily, and I just couldn't do it, man.
Oh, dude, it's gonna be great. Have you been to Happy Valley before? Is this gonna be your first taste with the whiteout?
This will be my first taste.
Oh, dude.
Oh,
brother.
Again, and I've told a couple of people I very much enjoyed the scenery of the Pac-12 road trips, but when it comes to actually like awesome road stadium experiences, it was quite lacking. So I didn't make the trip to the Big House last year, and granted that wasn't a very good game anyway. So I think this is going to be up there with probably the best experiences that I've been to.
Yeah, there's no doubt. You know, the one thing, what do you guys think it is with James Franklin? Like, if you look back over the last few years, they don't win these big games in this spot. Like, they just don't. Last year, they lost to Oregon in the Big Ten title game. They lost at home to Ohio State after taking control of the game early. This happens year after year. He can't get over on Michigan and Ohio State or the other big games. Well, why do you think that is? Why does a good coach like James Franklin freeze up or clutch up a little bit in a spot like this?
I think football is really hard. Like to be honest, like I think especially in these waters that, you know, Penn State and Oregon are wanting to swim in, where it's, you know, you are competing against the schools where it is national championship or bust, or if you don't rattle off a couple natties in a string of a few years, like fan bases start to wonder what's going wrong. And so, you know, Penn State's put itself in a position for a lot of these games to, you know, have the opportunity to not win them. It's just a matter of, you know, whether or not Franklin can actually like get past one of these. And unfortunately, that's kind of the stigma that sticks with the coach in this day and age is you can be a very good coach. You can build a program back up from a point where it was struggling to where it's a perennial playoff contender. But if you don't beat Oregon or you don't beat Ohio State or some of these certain games, the fan base is certainly going to notice.
I mean, I think another big part of it is, like, let's be honest, for the past 6, 7, 8 years, like, the Big Ten has been massively top heavy, right? And so you can kind of create the illusion like Penn State is just on the cusp, and then ultimately you have to go up against, you know, Michigan under Jim Harbaugh, and then you have to go up against Ohio State. But really, since before the 4 West Coast teams came in and it became like this crazy big super conference, like the Big Ten was kind of top heavy. And so I have to wonder, like, was Penn State really like on the cusp for that long, or were they just kind of taking advantage of some mediocre football teams?
All right, I want to go through just the key matchups. This weekend is amazing. By the way, Justin, what month did you and your wife get married in?
We got married in February.
See, that's what I'm talking about. How anyone, I've had Duck fans reach out. They're going to be at weddings this weekend. That's criminal activity right there. It's criminal. So bad. It's like, are you kidding me? You know, Justin, you know no guy at any wedding this weekend wants to be there, but they have to fake it and pretend like they want to be there. That's terrible.
You have to hold the phone like in your lap, yeah, and you got to like pretend like you're not paying attention to the game, and you keep like, why does he keep going to the bathroom? It's like he's checking the score.
On the same regard, I think we should give a specific shout out and respect the people who do take this into account. For instance, I have friends, Derek and Emily, who are getting married next week, and they did that specifically because it was Oregon bye week. So
Gosh,
I think we should honor. I think we should honor those people who take into account our feelings and our schedules.
That's such an elite move right there. Gosh, I love hearing that kind of stuff. That helps me. You know what? That restores faith in humanity right there by that pro move. That's incredible. All right, I want to get your take on a few games from both of you. You can just give me a quick take on who you think is going to win. 9 o'clock on Saturday morning, USC, who's been very impressive playing Lincoln Riley ball. They've got the running game back. They're at Illinois, laying 6.5. This feels like a upset alert. Tyson, what do you think about USC, Illinois?
USC has been playing pretty good ball. I don't think they're back at the level where they're going to be contending with Oregon later in the season, but I like them in this one.
Justin?
Yeah, I like the coaches. I mean, didn't Illinois just give up like a 50 burger against? Yeah, I think like Indiana's. I mean, a pretty good team, but I mean, like Illinois looked like they were nowhere close. And I'm with Tyson. Like I don't think USC's in any spot to like be in the Oregon, Ohio State, Penn State discussion, but they still have some dudes. So yeah, I got the Trojans in this game. I think Illinois was a fraud. I think they were. I think they were massively overrated because of what happened last year coming into the season, and Illinois is a fraud.
Okay. Number one, Ohio State's at Washington. You know, when the year began and they beat Texas, we thought, hey, Ohio State might be pretty good. But now I've seen Texas play a couple of games. I don't know if we know much about both teams. We're going to find out a lot on Saturday. We'll start with Tyson. Who do you like in Ohio State, Washington? Well,
see, he's had enough of me again. So,
I know. It's too much Justin in one day. What do you think about that game, Ohio State, Washington, Justin?
This is the worst, Chad. This is the worst for a guy like me because, like, I want Washington to beat Ohio State, and I hate saying that out loud because I think ultimately if Oregon goes into Happy Valley and beats Penn State, it would be pretty awesome. If Ohio State ends up losing and then Oregon leapfrogs everybody and gets back to the top of the AP poll and is number one. But I think Ohio State is just that much better. But I will say, Jamon Williams in November when Oregon heads up there scares the life out of me. I don't think Washington has the depth, but Jamon Williams is a playmaker. Like that guy, he's going to make some plays. He's going to make you miss. And he kind of scares me for when Oregon plays him in November. But I don't think they have the fire. I don't think they have the depth to beat him for 4 quarters. So I think Ohio State, but I think close. I think Washington might cover.
What do you think about that one, Tyson? Don't worry about it, Shaka. We're good. We're good. All right. I want to get your take on one more game, or actually 2, because I want to get your prediction on Oregon, Penn State, Alabama, Georgia. Kirby Smart never loses a home game. Alabama hasn't played in Athens since 2015. What do you think?
I think Georgia wins big. This was remember last year. This was the craziest game of last football season, right? That crazy big comeback, but then Alabama ultimately got the win, and for a moment, Alabama fans did hate Kalen DeBoer. They hate him now. And I think of all the coaches in the country, I think Kirby Smart is the best at smelling blood in the water. And he that Alabama roster, I think, is in dangerous territory of quitting on their coach. And I think Georgia wins. I think Georgia wins big. I think Kirby Smart, pun intended, lets the dogs out.
That's a very good pun right there, my friend. All right. Big thanks to Tyson Alger, Justin Myers. Justin, enjoy the game. I love talking ball with you, my friend. This is going to be a great, great weekend. And it's going to be awesome because you get a chance to watch the Dogs with your wife, and then she can watch the Ducks with you with proper spacing between kickoff times. It's nice.
Exactly. Proper spacing and also proper decompression so that the stress and intense level in the backyard a little bit.
Dude, you're going to spend all Saturday in your backyard.
I'm in the backyard right now.
Dude, you're going to spend all Saturday in your backyard.
I'm in the backyard right now. I'm in the I'm pre-gaming. It's Wednesday. I'm pre-gaming. I'm in the backyard right now.
All right. I
wish
appreciate
it
you.
came on.
I appreciate you. Give your best to my wife, buddy. Or give my best to
Will
your
do. I'll
wife.
tell my wife, too.
Yeah. All right. There's Justin Myers. I'm all mixed up now. Big thanks to Tyson Alger, Justin Myers. We'll keep things rolling. You got the Rip City Drive on your home of the Blazers, 620 Rip City Radio. Well, we don't have the translator Travis Demers in studio, unfortunately. But if you think that's going to prevent me from going to this guy, you'd be wrong. Mitch in New Jersey's back on the show. Mitch, what's going on, my friend?
Oh, taking up comedy, huh?
Yes.
How you doing?
Very well. Nice to hear your voice.
Oh, it's been a long day, I guess. College ball.
Yes.
It's here. He's been out for a month.
Oh, dude, I know. Hawkins is going to take over. Yeah, it's not good.
Well, I like the kid. Hawkins is all right, but, it's just for a month. Well, the SEC is pretty tough.
Yeah, dude. Hold on for a second. Before you move on. Yeah, the SEC is kind of tough. Just take a listen to what we have here with Oklahoma's upcoming schedule. It's absolutely brutal, and I can't believe that John Mateer broke his hand. This is absolutely brutal. Just take a listen to these upcoming games for the Sooners, because when you hear it, you're gonna be like, "Oh, it's not good." In fact, it's really bad, actually. And this goes to show you that, in college football, in some of these conferences, you got to make sure that you take care of your business because these games get tough. But here's what's upcoming for Oklahoma. So they just beat Auburn at home, and now they're going to get an off week. Right. Thank goodness, because that's more padding or more cushion for Mateer to heal. Then they get Kent State on October 4th. But starting on the 11th, October 11th, Texas at South Carolina, Ole Miss at Tennessee, bye week at Bama, Missouri, LSU. Like that's 6 straight conference games, and 5 of those 6 are ranked opponents.
And it would have been something else if they had Mateer, because 3 of those teams have quarterbacks that you will see on Sundays besides Mateer. Yeah, I like. Speaking about Sunday matches, USC's playing Illinois, and Illinois has a good quarterback, not as good as Jalen Mayava, but he'll be playing on Sundays too. And I like the wide receivers, Lemon, and I also like the running backs. They have like 3 or 4 good running backs.
They do, yes.
And right now, Jordan and Eli Sands again the carries. Jackson's hurt again. He's a sophomore, and they got the guy. He's a walk-on freshman, King Miller, and he's a big back. He's way over 200 pounds. He's like 230. I wonder if he has a sister named Queen. Who names his son? Who named the kid King? I was mentioning to my daughter. She changed it to my grandson. Now it's going to be Jeremiah. First it was Hayden. Then she went to Andy. I mentioned Cody or even Kobe. But, of course, nobody listens to me. Do the opposite.
Hey, Mitch.
Do the opposite.
And I have another question for you.
Shoot.
What's wrong with the Dodger bullpen? It's going to cost him a chance at another title.
I have a solution for that. Keep the start until the 8th, 9th inning, and hit the ball. Why are they complaining about the bullpen? Why is Conforto still in this team? He's terrible. He just barely cleared 200. He's batting over 200 now. Finally, after a few weeks ago.
The theory out there, Conforto, he's known as KKK Conforto because he strikes out all the time. The problem with Conforto is that a lot of people think that like he might be like a long lost son of manager Roberts because he continues to roll him out there. But the guy's been terrible. I'm just astonished at how a team with that many resources and that much money can put together a pitching staff that's unreliable. So now they go in with what looks to be good starting pitching, but it's so bad now in the bullpen that they're considering bringing Clayton Kershaw out of the pen. It's absurd.
He should start. I know it's nostalgia, but he should. It's not really doing for the best of the team, but you got to give him one start, maybe round 2. The first round's 2 out of 3, but they didn't make any trades. They did trade a couple of trades, but those guys got hurt. They should have gotten Josh Naylor too. He could play left field, and then give Conforti, give him his walking papers. Should give him a couple months ago.
Yes.
I don't know why he's signing. He's making over $10 million. I hope it's deferred. That's the only way I feel a little better. I have him the whole year for that salary, not earning his money. So we got some races though. With the Mets, not much in the Met game. I'm hoping Cincinnati gets in, or even Arizona. Arizona was selling, and it's so close.
I'm going to go up on Sunday. I'm going to go up on Sunday to Seattle to see Kershaw's last start.
"Are you lucky, guy? He won more than 5." I think they should be just a couple in. They should have the division by Friday night, and Philly's going to clinch second seed. So I don't know how long. I don't know how much you're going to see Clayton Kershaw. I thought he had some. I think he still has something in the gas tank. I was shocked that he's going to retire. I mean, LeBron is playing still. Tom Brady played to 45, and these are physical sports.
Yeah.
But I could throw a ball at that velocity is wear and tear on the body.
All right. I'm just telling you, I'm giving you a fair warning. Keep an eye on USC this weekend. That's a danger spot for them.
No, I think their offense, and keep the offense on the ground. Illinois won't have much of a time clock. They probably get like 25 minutes. Just keep the offense on the field, and I love that defensive line. You know, one guy changed his first name or his last name. He changed his last name. Fountain. Now his name's Cambridge. So I was saying, I like this guy Cam Fountain. His last name is Cambridge now. He changed his last name.
All right, that's going to do it for me.
Take a call.
There you go.
Have a nice one.
You too. There's Mitch. All right, that's going to do it for me. That's going to do it for Mitch. Michael Shacker, big thanks to our guest today. Dave Softy Muller, Brett Ciancia, Pick Six Previews. And I appreciate all of you for listening. We'll have more tickets to give away at 4 tomorrow for Thomas Rhett. You guys